How do we quit shooting ourselves in the foot? Let's go. It's time for another barncast. We've renamed our lives. It makes more sense this way. Instead of it just being the Top Button Podcast, this is the barncast, where this is a lot of different personalities from the barn that jump in. And tonight we got my man, Daryl Dapprich here, ready to talk about – I want to talk about this game in a different way. Look, we can talk about referees. We can talk about Jackson and can he get the ball out quick enough or quicker. But I think it's a bigger conversation on how close Auburn is so often, especially over the last 3 years, so close, but finding different ways to kind of, I guess, shoot yourself in the foot is like the term that's been used the most, but find a way to beat yourself. Find a way to beat yourself. Felt like Auburn outplayed Oklahoma and just found ways to eventually lose the game. We're going to jump into that in a very quick moment. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. I got on my Rhoback polo right now. I can't remember the name of it, but I dig it. It feels good, looks good. Save big, Barn 20, take 20% off your order. Polos, hoodies, pullovers, everything. They got it. Show them some love. It's Rhoback.com. Daryl, I know typically when you talk about stuff like this, it can take a big negative turn, and it's really just reality at this point in time. It's game after game. There's gonna be probably a more negative part to start off with, and then we're gonna get it back positive towards the end. But I just really want to talk about. I really want to hone in on special teams for a second, because that special teams are typically they're important, don't get me wrong. But typically you can manage special teams with guys that are like backups and walk-ons. Like, in other words, like, it doesn't take a high-level athlete to be able to just simply execute on special teams. And Auburn continually puts themselves in awful situations on special teams. And that's something that I've been racking my brain like crazy, and I just can't figure out how this keeps happening.
It's really amazing that probably one of the most effective special teams units in the country for years is the 12th man at Texas A&M, and it goes to your point that it's made up of walk-ons.
Yes.
But because of fit and coaching and commitment and doing the fundamentals, they do the things within themselves, they are the most effective. So what's happening, I think, with Auburn, there's two phases of the special teams woes. That one is, in my opinion, physical. Auburn's having problems with kicking field goals from distance.
Sure.
That's a physical thing that you've got to fix, that they're trying. And I think, let's be honest, if McPherson was completely healthy, that problem's solved.
Yeah.
The other aspect is mental. It's doing things that are absolutely brain cramp, fielding a punt inside the 3, continually blocking in the back on kickoff returns, things that are mental mistakes that put you in deep holes. They're little things. It's amazing when you said you're open, the thing that popped to me is that Auburn has a roster right now that I feel like is really handling the bigger things. We're seeing balls thrown downfield, great running game, defense that's stopping the run. The big things, the little things are still being overlooked. And special teams, I believe this, and I want to get your opinion on it. We are in a day and age where players with NIL and all that feel like they got to make plays. No one wants to do the boring, non-sexy stuff just to field a punt with a fair catch or to let it roll into the end zone. And they catch things and they make plays like that because they feel like they got to make a spectacular superstar play instead of just taking the easy thing that's boring and just simple. And I think Malcolm is an example of that, catching a punt over his shoulder, trying to bring it out.
Here's the thing to that specific point. There is zero chance that he has not been instructed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, there is zero chance that no one's ever told Malcolm, hey, when you're returning punts, don't catch it on, like, don't try to field a punt on the 1 yard line. And particularly don't try to catch it over your shoulder. That's the thing that's driving me crazy. Like, it's not there just is zero possibility. I watch them practice. Like, I watch them go through the motions. I watch them do live punting. I watch them do the returns. There's zero chance that Malcolm's never been told. So what do you have to do? Do you have to, every single time he goes out there, you got to tell him, hey, Malcolm, don't forget, don't catch a ball beyond the 10-yard line. Like, that's the part that I can't quite understand, or I can't grasp. Like, these are things that there is just no chance it's not been like at least somewhat addressed. Like, you're told that in high school. That's the kind of stuff that I can't quite figure out. Like, surely you've talked about it from last year to this year, the absolute detriment it can be to get a hold on a kickoff. And yet you almost can't have one without a hold. I can't figure that out. I can't figure out how that happens.
Obviously, they're being told in practice, hey, don't block in the back, because that was a penalty that was called. Not only the holding, it was a couple of them were blocks in the back. To me, if that's not happening downfield, and you're fielding a kickoff at the 3, and you start to take it out, and somebody blocks in the back at that point, I don't even know if you need to have them on special teams then. My point is, if you're telling them and they're still doing it, then find somebody else.
Yeah.
Kyle, a lot of people use, I don't want to do it because of the injury risk, but special teams, Virginia Tech made a living off of winning games under Beamer with special teams. And the reason why is he put a lot of his starters and a lot of his best players on special teams because he trusted them. I don't want to get to that point, but it's almost like you have to.
Urban Meyer was another one where he would put all of his studs on special teams. Like, if you were a starter, you were going to do special teams too.
I agree. And I think I know that even early in the season at the press conference, Hugh Freeze had a lot of frustration with special teams because he repeatedly told Pleasant to return the kickoff from the 3, and he kept calling a fair catch. Yeah. Then he finally said, Chad, tell that guy to run the ball out of to take it, and he did, and he scored a touchdown. So even that, early in the season, there is a disconnect. Yeah. And if the coaches are doing what they're supposed to do, and these players are continually doing it anyway, like the point you make, they cover it. What other choice do you have? What other choice do you have if you're coaching them to not do it and they do it anyway?
Yeah.
You have to find different personnel. You just have to. And if it means a starter here or there, the risk is worth the reward if you start breaking some special team plays, and if you start at the 30 and the 35 and set yourself up in better field position.
And it's really, really frustrating too, especially with Malcolm, because he's so electric, because he has so much of an opportunity to do something special every time he gets the ball. And maybe that's a little bit of part of the problem. Maybe he knows that too, that if I touch the ball, there's a good chance I can score. And I'm just trying to take advantage of the opportunities. He had one, was it Ball State or someone where he kind of caught one off of a hop that, started running before he ever really even had the ball and almost cost a turnover there. I'm with you. I think Eric Singleton was supposed to be the punt returner to begin the year, and he's had, a little knick-knack injuries here or there. So Malcolm's playing kind of to take exposure away from Eric Singleton possibly getting injured. But I'm with you, man. At this point in time, you may have to look at going to somebody else. That's really the only thing as a coach you have is you got to go to somebody else.
You have no options. You have no options.
And you got to do it. I think you got to look at every single special teams unit And to me, all of the positions are up for grabs.
Yep. I agree.
Every single one of them from the very beginning. I mean, you could literally look at, if you forget about the sacks, we can have a whole show on the sacks. We can have a whole show on throwing the ball, getting the ball off in time. We could have a whole show on that. If you just look at special teams over the last 3 years, holy cow! You win the Iron Bowl back in the Harsin era, or was that Hugh too? That was Hugh.
The fumble punt, yeah.
You win the Iron Bowl more than likely if you field a punt. I mean, you can go, the list goes on and on and on. Like, something has to change to where the seriousness, and this is a little bit on coaching. I mean, this is leadership at the top too. Like, something's got to change to where it has to be looked at as rigid and as serious as Vontrell coaching the defensive line and beating their tail when they got the pads on, making them extend the little things, extend when they hit the sled and drive. Because if you don't, they're going to hold your ASS all night. I mean, that's the stuff he says. Like, that same intensity has to happen on special teams too. Even if you don't have to dedicate as much time to it, you shouldn't have to. Something's got to change there. 100%. Auburn is 1,000% better off if you can just be average on special teams.
The frustrating part of that is physical mistakes and physical errors you can almost live with, and you can understand that they happen. Again, it's the perpetual, I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's mental mistakes that are costing my team. If somebody muffs a punt, it's a special teams mistake, but it's a physical error. It's going to happen. If somebody has a bad snap, 1 out of 100, it's going to happen. You miss a field goal. I'm tired of that too, but it's these things that you're talking about. If they're getting coached, and I believe we both agree 100% that we're seeing coaches go over this. Your earlier statement, are they huddling up on the sidelines before they go out for the kickoff and reiterating it? I don't know. Maybe they need to. It's sad that you in this day, but again, it's about just doing the things that are boring and not sexy, and they win games. Auburn just needs to get back to taking care of the little things. I think the big things, they're taking care of the ball, right? I mean, they're causing some turnovers now. They're doing things that they weren't doing last year. Get the little things cleaned up, and it could be a whole different rest of the tone of the season.
It's a really weird dynamic to look at that last year to this year, because last year it was like, oh, dear God, just hang on to the ball and, don't turn the ball over. And you haven't had that issue whatsoever. You've been protecting the ball, which is awesome. But now it seems like the bugaboo is penalties, and it's untimely penalties and untimely plays and untimely mistakes in special teams,
missed opportunities more too. You can't count things like an overthrown wide open touchdown pass as a turnover, but essentially it flips the script of a football game. You can't count the botched snap was technically not a turnover, but it was on 4th down. So, they take over on downs at the 20-yard line. Those are the things that, look, you're 2nd and 2 from the 4-yard line and you don't score a touchdown. And those are the kind of things that doesn't seem like, oh, that's a big thing. Well, you're 2nd and 2 from the 4-yard line. You just gashed them for 8 yards. Auburn needs to score a touchdown there. That's a little thing about a play call or a missed alignment. Remember, they try to run the jet sweep. Someone slipped. And then you're behind the chains. Missed timing. It's little thing. That's small that equated into big.
And then on the very next play, I feel like you dial up a pretty good play. It's blocked really well. A little swing pass to Eric Singleton, but the throw is just a little bit too high, and it takes him
to the
extra
boundary
steps to gather himself.
Yep.
and his momentum carries him.
He
out
would
of
have
the
walked in if that ball was thrown to his hip or he was led. It was so far to the boundary that to catch it, his body took him out of bounds, and he literally could have walked in. I mean, people want to talk about the big things, the officiating, this 10 sacks. Go back and dissect all the little things that an overthrow here, not scoring on 2nd and 2 from the 4, that throw, all those little things, just one of those, just one, could have been the difference in the ball game. And that is almost as frustrating to me as the clowns that were wearing the black and white stripes.
Yeah, this is a really good point. And Daryl, I want to get your thoughts on this. NH3425. This game reminds me of the 17 Clemson game. We lost 14-6, sacked 11 times, and had other issues. I remember feeling helpless after that, feeling hapless. Like there's just, you're just completely physically dominated, and you only lost by 1 possession. We know how that season went. Fix special teams, penalties, catch the ball, pass better. We're in the 8 and 10 games. Easy. That's kind of jumping ahead, but we're already 16 minutes into this. Let's just go ahead and hit it. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's use that as the stepping stone of turning the page here from negativity to positivity, because there's a lot of truth in that comment right there.
There is, and I think what makes that even more positive is that there wasn't the officiating disasters in that Clemson game. That game was, I believe, was that game in Clemson, or was that
it was there?
Okay.
Yep.
And then Auburn went on the road, had to go on the road back-to-back weeks, went on the road the next week and dropped 50 on Missouri.
Yep.
And Stidham had his coming out party, right? So, yeah, the season, I think of the 2013 year when Auburn played LSU off their feet in LSU, national contender, lost by a touchdown. And I kept saying to myself, this is a different team. This team last year would have folded. This team last year would have got blown out. We all know what happened after that game. They went to Texas A&M on the road, won, and changed flip the script of the season. So I say all that, not that I'm prophetic and I'm saying those things will happen. I'm only saying that they can change on a whim. And people will say, well, that's a different coach. I get it. But this roster that Auburn has right now is fully capable of turning things around. I don't like to play the what if game. I'm not into moral victories. This isn't upwards football. But I mentioned this with the show that I did with Zach this morning. If you take everything that went wrong yesterday for Auburn, and there were two, like the kids like to say, two alternative universes, 2 timelines going on. There was the referee thing, and there was the self-inflicting wounds. It's very difficult to ask a football team to overcome one of those to win against a top 10 team on the road. You were asking Auburn to overcome both. Despite and they almost did. You had the referee story that they had to overcome, and then you had the we're shooting ourselves in the foot story that they almost overcome, and it was too much to ask to do both. Despite that, they lost by 7.
Yeah,
I mean,
had 2 chances, had 2 drives at
took
the
the
end
lead,
of the game.
took the lead late. Yeah, and they did take the lead at some
Yep.
point where that was a gutsy drive. You're down. You went the length of the field. Malcolm on the sweep. They did show some moxie there. I'm not a silver lining kind of guy. I'm just being very honest to say, if you look at this realistically and understand the reality of it, is that Hugh Freeze should be preaching that every day up until the A&M game. Is, look, guys, this is where we were in this game, and this
outplayed them. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, what's funny is the comeback is, oh, you gave up 10 or 11 sacks or whatever it is. I don't want to hear it about the penalties. Okay. You gave up that many sacks and you still had a drive to go win the damn game at the end of the game. Okay. So even with all that, even with the penalties, even with muffing a freaking punt, muffing a snap on a punt and spotting you a touchdown. And then, with the deception play or whatever, even with all that, even with missing Cam Coleman wide open for touchdowns twice, even with the pass interference call on the double pass, which we're about to talk about in just a second, even with that, you drove down and you took the lead, and then you had a chance to do it again. So I don't care what anybody says. Auburn outplayed Oklahoma. toe-to-toe yesterday, and there were some small areas where Auburn shot themselves in the foot and gave that game away. That, to me, ought to preach. That ought to preach. They call Hugh that he sounds kind of like a pastor. That sermon ought to preach. Y'all are right there. We're right there. Malcolm, you know better. Malcolm, you don't return a punt like that. Hudson, you're the punter. You're older. You can't freak out if you drop the snap, or even if it's a bad snap. You still got to get it off. Okay? You can't just lose yourself when something doesn't go exactly perfect. Like, guys, we're trying to get Rayshon Pleasant a freaking touch because he's unbelievable. Don't hold. If somebody's going to get by you, he can probably make a miss. Just stay in front of him. Like, that should be able to preach. I feel like, and it could be something that could really propel them forward back to the super chat and help you go into Texas A&M, because it's a much more gettable defense, in my opinion. I like this matchup better than I liked the matchup with Oklahoma. Got another super chat, and Daryl, you're going to like this one, from Thomas Jones. I totally agree. It's the little things, plus the refs didn't do us any favors. But Charlie 5, I have to say this, Hughes, 0 for 2.5 seasons on trick plays. Hey, but I'll say this. That one was dialed up.
It was, and it would have worked to perfection if not for – I mean, if they call the pass interference there, the trick play works. You see what I'm saying? I don't care that it didn't score a touchdown. If you gain a pass interference inside the 5-yard line or the 10-yard line, then it worked, because you caused someone to have the pass interference. To get back to your previous point, what's very, very important during this week when you talk about the preaching part of it is Auburn can't allow this to Oklahoma to beat you twice. You have to flush this, and you have to wash it off. All the cliches. You go into Texas A&M, and yes, you're angry, but you use it and go, oh my gosh, look how we outplayed them. Let's go get Texas A&M. That's what you have to do. You cannot let this game count for 2 losses.
You can't. You got to use it and figure out how to correct those small things. And I'll say this, I can't think of – there was nothing really crazy that happened against Baylor. I feel like with that one, we just kind of controlled the game the whole time. Ball State was Ball State. South Alabama was South Alabama. This was just one of those big games where we've seen kind of, multiple times now over the last 3 years, Auburn just doesn't quite know how to win the big one. It's just been too long, I guess. Don't really have that winning gene in them right now. Another super chat. NH3425. One thing I think is missing, someone on AU's team has yet to be the I'm taking control of the game and winning it for us. Somebody needs to step up. That you were watching the game, but that was the main thing when I think we had 4 or 5 guys on right there at the end of that final drive. That was one of the main things. Who's going to make the play? Somebody's got to make the play. And we're just not quite there yet, or we just don't know that guy really hasn't surfaced just quite yet.
Well, I'm gonna take that a step further. Maybe he hasn't been given the chance to surface. Maybe the right guy hasn't been chosen to trust with the ball in his hands in that situation, and wasn't even on the field or getting targeted or getting the ball handed off to him. Jeremiah Cobb had 61 yards on 6 carries. Found a way to get through Oklahoma's defensive line when they stacked the box. Why not run him a little bit more with 4 minutes and 53 seconds left to go when you have the ball? I know you only had 1 timeout, but keep them a little bit off balance. It might be that the personnel they're putting on the field thinking the guy is out there. Maybe there's somebody else like an Horatio Fields that would say, I want the moment, throw me the ball. Or Jeremiah Cobb, I'll get you 10, 15 yards. Personnel, you might need to look at that too. Big plays, big moments. Could be that the right person wasn't out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was you can always ask a million questions about play calling, and we can always break that down until we're blue in the face. But there's an aspect too of I thought Hugh, for the most part, called a really, really good game. I thought that there were times that plays could have been made and they weren't made. Like you said, we protected the ball, but even Hugh a little bit at the end of the game, I kind of felt like lost control a little bit there with 4.5 minutes left and the whole debacle of those last possessions. I mean, even there you saw a little bit of not quite able to kind of step up and dial it up and make it happen. It's just been across the board. The good news is this is a really talented team, and they showed it to me on Saturday. I think Oklahoma is a playoff team. There's some people that may disagree with that. I think Oklahoma is a playoff team. I think they have the best defense in the SEC. And are one of the best defenses in the SEC, and they got a Heisman Trophy quarterback. Hey, at the end of the game, he hadn't played the greatest game, and we were like, please don't give him a Heisman moment. And he had a Heisman moment. He threw a dime, whether or not it was a catch. I don't want to have that discussion. Threw a dime and then ran a touchdown in. That was a guy that's a dog that made a play when he had to make a play. Was called upon when this team needed him, and he took him down and won the game. And we just don't quite have that guy in really any phase yet. I think there's a bunch of dudes that have potential. They just haven't really shown it quite yet.
I'll push back a little bit. I think Oklahoma is a good team, and I think two things can be true at once. I think they could be a good team, and Auburn could still be better and have played better and outplayed them. So I get your point. I want to see what Oklahoma does when they go away from the cozy confines of their stadium and don't get gifted 17 points. That's when I'll become a believer. I'm sorry. I know we're going back to this officiating thing, but show me you can win on the road without home cooking and getting gifted 17 points, and then I'll become a believer. As soon as they do that, I'll eat my words and say, yes, I want to see them do it on the road. They've got to go to Alabama. They got to play Texas. They got to play. So when they do that and earn it, instead of it being gifts, whether it's Auburn giving the gifts or the officials giving the gifts, I'm still waiting to see on them. I just am, because I want to see them do it on the road, and I want to see them do it without getting gifts.
So their road games, though, are South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. And then
they could lose to Tennessee and Alabama on the road. Tennessee's salty, right? And then they play – obviously the Red River's a neutral game.
They're going to beat the dog. They're going to beat Texas. So
you think so?
They're just going to beat – Texas can't – Texas is another one that I'm just not – I'm impressed with Oklahoma. I'm not really impressed.
Don't they play LSU at LSU to end the season too? Oklahoma?
They play LSU at home.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they play Missouri at home, LSU at home, Ole Miss at home. They definitely have a tough stretch. I don't know, man. I think they're good. I think we're a good football team. I think we're a good offense. And they pretty much shut us down. And we did have some stuff that we missed, but they kind of made us miss those plays.
Yeah.
They had a lot to do with that. So I think they're good. And I get what you're saying too. You want to see it proven, but and they'll definitely have the opportunity to do that. So let's switch gears. Let's fast forward to Texas A&M a little bit. Let's go ahead and start talking about that right now. Look, they had I believe a bye week this week, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
So obviously you got to deal with that. That's a little bit unfortunate for Auburn. They're going to have a bye week before you go travel to their stadium, which is no fun. And they've had a pretty big win, I guess, against Notre Dame, at least from the ranking standpoint. Notre Dame's 1-2 or 2-2 now, and
1-2 now, actually.
1-2 now, and they're still in the top 25. Did they play this past weekend, or were they off?
They played Purdue. That got their first win against Purdue. Notre Dame did, yeah.
There you go. So they do have a bye week. You travel there. I've been saying it from the beginning. Like, if you looked at these two games, I felt like we were a better matchup for Texas A&M than we were with Oklahoma, just because of the dynamic of their defense, and then how their offense seemed, at least on paper, to match up pretty well with our defense. But defense played really good. Talk about the Texas A&M matchup and how big that one's going to be.
Well, Auburn has proven that they absolutely are making teams one-dimensional. So I think from a standpoint, you just can't let Reed beat you. He's dynamic with his legs. He throws balls on the run now out of the pocket. He's very good downfield. He gave Auburn problems in Jordan Hare last year. He's a dynamic quarterback. but I like Auburn making teams one-dimensional. I don't know if A&M is going to try to run the football. If they don't, and they put this game on Reed and say, go win it for us, then Auburn's going to have to do like I thought they did last Saturday and get a couple turnovers. And Reed will throw it, sometimes in tight windows and get picked. That has to be so dynamic getting outside the pocket.
Yeah.
He's very difficult. Auburn has had a little bit of problems with that quarterback, that Davenport kid at South Alabama, the escapability type quarterback. They've had a little bit of problem containing that guy. So stay in your rush lane, stay disciplined. Auburn's going to have a spy. I like the fact that, A&M's got a couple of good receivers. I mean, I think they got some pretty good receivers. They got some pretty good athletes, but I like the fact that Auburn will come in and go, okay, we're just going to make Reed beat us. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think Texas A&M is obviously as good defensively, especially along the defensive line, as Oklahoma is. So maybe Auburn can get the running game going a little bit, little clock management, time of possession, that kind of thing, and get some big plays, break some big plays, because I think it's there to be gotten.
Yeah, I think you're right. Auburn struggled a little bit. You talk about the South Alabama quarterback, but I think they remedied a lot of it against Oklahoma. Mateer is a pretty elusive guy, and he really didn't hurt Auburn with his legs really at all. And he's been, I think, up until this game, if he wasn't the leading rusher, he was only a few yards away from being the leading rusher on the team. So Auburn at times has shown, I think, that they can handle mobile quarterbacks. I think if you can play that same game against Texas A&M, I don't think Marcel Reed can do the things with his arm that Mateer can. I could be wrong with that. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think – I think if you can sort of take a little page out of the book you just had and make him beat you with his arm, I think Auburn can have more success there, even more success there on defense than they already did. On the flip side, on the defensive side, I think maybe this is another team you can get back to running the ball with some success.
I think Jackson Arnold could run the ball more effectively against A&M too. Oklahoma did some things with stunts and that kind of thing where they just completely did not allow him to get by that first level. And I think that he's going to be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively against A&M. Did
he pull a read option at all?
I don't remember. I don't
think he did. I think every run play seemed to be like one of those designed quarterback draws, and none of them ever really hit.
They absolutely filled the gaps. There was nothing there. The only times he ran the ball effectively were on scrambles when the plays broke down and he got outside.
Yeah, exactly. And he had the one big scramble there on that touchdown drive, that go-ahead, I believe the go-ahead drive. Big run on 4th down, 4th and 11. So that was obviously.
He also had one in the first half where he ran along the sidelines, and I'm screaming, Oklahoma, let up. The dude could have hit him in front of the first down marker, and he kind of walked the tightrope the sidelines and got the first down. It's a beautiful 13-yard run.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to get knocked into Stillwater, and they just kind of let him slither along the sideline. So I do think he'll have more openings and more space and room to run against A&M's defense, which will help.
Yeah, I think you got to get back to getting him on that read option. He reads that read option really well. Apparently, there must have been something that Oklahoma was doing that made that to where it wasn't a factor. I got to get back to that, man. For some reason, I feel like he plays better whenever he can have when you got the option for him to run in the back pocket too. So we're going to break this thing down like 100 ways till Sunday. I mean, many, many different ways all week leading up to that game. It's going to be a big one. It's a very, very important one. You can't go 0-3. I mean, heck, we might as well lump Missouri into this too. You can't go 0-4 or 1-3 in this stretch. I feel like you got to split at worst if you want to have any chance to play for the ultimate prize or be in the conversation for the ultimate prizes, which is what the goal was this season, to be in that conversation. That's got to happen. So
I've seen a lot of people that I respect that are national writers that are not, Auburn homers or whatever, says that they still feel like with this schedule that if Auburn came out of this schedule with 2 losses, they would have a shot at the college football playoff.
I'm with you, White Boy Slick. Let's just win all three. How about that? Let's just win all three of them. We'll see what happens. Dap, tell them how they can find you and support you.
Wednesdays and Fridays, Locked on Auburn with Zach Blackerby. And then obviously every Sunday, the Barncast. I love it. We go live here at 8 p.m.
That's fun. It's a lot of fun, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Barncast, I guess, now. So enjoy it. We'll be back again soon.